All right. All right, let's see. Ponytail. Smooth. Short. Long's probably the closest. Wow, seems good. Oh, hi, Sarah. Thank you for dropping by. I'm just getting started. It really is. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm telling you guys, it is so fun. Just wait till we actually start the game. I'm just doing the outfit stuff. Wizard. I don't know what the personality does. So I'll just pick something sassy, sure. I think I like the pink. Let's do Louise. Oh, I have to type it out. Okay, here we go. Hi! Oh, does it? Huh. Well, we'll see what it looks like. Oh my goodness, hello! This is so fun! Thank you guys for dropping by. Oh no. It's not responding. Let's see what happens. Oh, here we go. Oh, it looks so bright. Oh my gosh. To open, okay. The cancel button. Oh, right, okay. Hello! I do not remember. Oh yeah, that's right. The premise of this game is you've defeated the Dark Wizard, and then you build a town. Yeah, how is everyone? I feel like it's a lot of you. Good night, Sarah. Sleep well. Thank you for saying hello. Ooh, 80 plain brick. That's a lot. 80 wooden plank. Nice. Oh, I haven't seen the new Thor movie. I've been meaning to do that. Hello. I don't know. I have such a bad time remembering people without their pictures. Oh, yes. Oh, sweet. But hello, welcome. Okay. What shall we do first? Oh, right. Okay. So my favorite thing about this game is the build mode. I really like how easy it is. So when you want to make stairs, you just go ta-da with the dirt, and then you can make more paths. I don't know. It just seems really intuitive to me. Whereas a lot of other stuff like this, I don't know. Hello, welcome. Hello, hello. Oh, it's so fun to have you all here. What is this? Oh, that's literally what I just said. Got it. How is everyone? It's Friday. Yes. All right. Right, that is really handy. Hello, welcome. Where should I put his house? I really like it. I haven't played a ton yet because I've been wanting to play it on the stream. But I really enjoy it. It does a lot of things I think better than... Oh, right. Okay. I think it does a lot of things that I don't like about Stardew Valley better than Stardew Valley. Not that Stardew Valley is bad. Thank you. It is very cute. I'm just starting, so I don't have a lot of the stuff that you can do. But you can go to different places, which is super fun, and we'll get to that eventually. I think my favorite thing is that you can take your time and that the days go by as you do stuff instead of like in actual time. So if you're like, I don't know, you're doing something, the time doesn't actually pass by. I don't know, and you can focus on whatever you want. Oh, there's another chest back there. How did I miss that one? Dirt, yes. I just want to get all of the weeds because I can't really do anything else yet. Yes, yeah, that's right. So you're these two characters here are like your friends. Thank you. I drew it actually. I think it turned out pretty good. I wasn't really sure what to do, but I think it turned out good. Oh, the premise is, yeah, you just had a big adventure and you won, but you don't remember what happened. And so a lot of the story, so far, I haven't gotten very far. I haven't even made it through spring yet. Is like remembering and getting to know your people that you knew from before. And some new people, too. Oh, right. Okay. So I had you guys pick this. And Hunter's name was the most popular. Hunter Art. I don't know how to say their last name. Archield. And it was Sunflower Grove, which I think is super cute. I'm really excited. Hopefully it fits. I actually hadn't thought about that. Flower. Oh, why is it like this? Oh. Oh, I guess we're just gonna do sunflower. That's just, yep, okay. I like it though. I like it. That's actually really cute. I kind of like just sunflower. Another house, yes. Oh, my house. I'm gonna put it right here. Oh. I agree. Yes. Is it a decorative? No, it's not. There we go. I'm gonna put this right in the middle. Oh. I already took them, but thank you. Oh, right. What are those supposed to be? Yams? Oh my gosh. Are those yams? That's really funny. That's so awesome. I thought they were breads at first, but I also have an iPad open and they look more like yams on the iPad. There's not a ton to do when you don't have the stuff yet. Let's get this weed. Yeah, I don't even have a fishing pole yet. There's just not a ton to do. Well, I think I'm going to end this day. Because I can't cut down any trees. I can't fish. So, let's see if Dalton has anything to say. Okay, I will. Yes, but soon. There will be fishing. It's way easier than in... It's not a mini game. It's just, I don't think it's a mini game. Why are you still here? Yes, that would be awesome. I would like to have more to do, please. All right. Okay, I think that's it for today. Wow. Yeah, eventually you do get a fishing pole. I'm feeling creative. That's good. Oh, my mailbox is over here. I should probably move that. A DeLuca coin. I just started. Oh, perfect. Yes. Alright, I think Dalton's in his house. Let's compliment Dalton. Yes, I'm ready. Okay. Oh my gosh. Perfect. So many things to build. No! I wanted to know. Oh wait, okay, I'm building the... Let's do the marketplace first. In my other game, I had it over here. It is too big to put anywhere. Gonna have to move some stuff. I know! I want to know what it was. It could be anything. Oops. Oh, more weeds. Okay. Oh, I should probably move the trees too. Okay. Let's put this here for now. I can always move it later. And put this over here. Okay. I think I'm gonna move the well. While we're moving stuff. I don't know. It was fine where it was. But I am gonna move the mailbox for sure. them on before I forget. Goodbye. I still don't have any tools. Didn't he say he was gonna give me some? Yes, I did. Oh, okay. Nope. Not that it was very far. Oh. We're now on a cutscene, I guess. Okay. Yes, please. Oh, great. Let's hang out. Yes. Did he give them to me, or do I have to buy them? Hold on. Nope, this isn't what I wanted. Where is it? Items. Oh my gosh. No, okay, I do have to buy them. Oh, I don't buy them. I just grab them. Okay. Now we have a whole world of possibilities of stuff we can do. Like cutting down trees. But not too far. Because I'd like to have them around. I'm gonna put this. Do I have enough path for this? Yes, I do. Hello! It is going well so far. We have a... Oh, thank you. Yeah, some of your names are different on here than they are on Twitter, which is fine, but it does make it a little harder to remember people. But that is okay. I really like it. That's why I wanted to play it, because I want more people to play it so I can get ideas from you all how you make your towns. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I want everyone to be playing this game because it's the game that I'm really enjoying the most currently. Okay. I really just want to fish, but I can't yet. Yeah. I think I'll get the hang of it the more I stream, hopefully. It's also hard because I don't talk to a lot of you in real life, you know? We just talk over Twitter, so it's hard to remember, like, oh, this is this person and this is this person. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. But I will do my best. Let's get some ore. Hello, welcome. I'm doing good. How are you? Oh, I'm gonna cut this down. I'm really liking it. This is my second time playing it. Well, I guess I've only played parts of it. I haven't gone very far on my first playthrough. But I'm liking it well so far. I definitely wish I had all the tools because I keep wanting to do things and I remember I don't have the thing for it. But I will soon. I'm gonna run out of these. Yeah, kind of. It's more... Yeah, I would say so. There is more... It's not just the town, luckily. You can go to other places, so there's a lot of, like, talking to people. And I think you can date people eventually. I haven't ever gotten that far, but I did look it up, and it sounds like that's part of the game. So I will be looking forward to that part of it. Oh yes, I did do this. Have done this. Yes, it is. That's where I'm playing it from, actually. I bought it a couple weeks ago because it was on sale. It's not really that expensive to begin with. But, yeah, it is on Steam. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, and there's gonna be more people than just these two. Which I also like about this game is that it introduces people not all at once. Yeah, so I would put it on your wish list if you're interested and wait for it to be on sale. I think it's definitely worth it. What else should we do? Hi, welcome. Yes, I really like this game. I just wish I had more of the stuff. Okay. I guess I can just keep cutting trees. These ones I've already cut pretty short. Oh, hello! Did I miss him before? Was he there? Oh. Yes, stay definitely. Yes, I feel like there aren't that many of us, but I am in mountain time. I feel like I'm way behind everyone else, because by the time I'm going to bed, everyone is already asleep. Yes, I would highly recommend it. That's part of why I'm playing it, is because I want everyone to also play it. Hello! Welcome! How are you? Okay, I think that's as much as I can do for today. Pretty soon here, I will be having to really decide what to do with my energy. Good, good. I'm so glad to hear it. I'm really happy that it's Friday. I am not. Yeah, I'm loving it. Work is done for the week. For me, anyway. I'm doing good. Yes. Yes, I think Friday night is my favorite time of the week because you still have the weekend ahead of you. It is. I really like it. Okay, I'm just gonna go to bed. There's not anything else to do. Wow. Merchanting. Wow, what was that really fast? Isn't that fun? The little grass. And the houses are super cute. There are more people that join, and their houses are all unique to the people, which is really fun. I enjoyed that. I don't have any yet, Dalton, but I will. Yes, I would say it's similar where you're, you know, decorating a town, but you're not building a farm so much as making a town, which I guess you do in Stardew Valley also. Yeah, they're pretty similar, and in style too. I don't know which one came first, but they are similar. Yeah, if you like Stardew Valley, I feel like you will like this. Meteorites, okay. We have not seen any meteorites yet, but I assume we will. Aww. Okay. Oh, I need to build him a house. Do I have a house for him? I do. Where should we put Dudley's house? I think you do. I know you can date people. I remember Googling that because I wanted to know. Oh, you can? Oh. Lots to do, I guess. I want to put him by the rest of us. Maybe by the pond up here. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I know you can date people for sure, but I don't know if you can marry people. I would guess so. I don't... Yeah. I haven't looked it up. And I haven't gone that far. It is really cute. Okay, his house is this one. Of course. Oh. No. Yes. Oh, awesome. That makes sense. Because I know you can date people. I just wasn't sure if you could marry people or not. But that's good to know. So I'll have to think about that as we go along. Okay. Oh, that's the end of the game? Or I guess the goal? Oh, okay. So you can't marry anyone until the end of the game. Or near the end of it. I didn't realize this game had an end. Oh. Huh. Let's hang out. Have we seen Dalton yet? Is he in his house? Thank you. Yeah, I'm more than happy to have lurkers because I also do that. Oh my gosh. Oh no. If you craft one, will you make me one? Yeah, someday we'll have a fishing rod and a net. It will be a good day when that finally happens. Okay, I think, what else could we do? It's really just not a lot because I don't have my tools. Let's redo this. No, okay. Destroy. Oops. I think I'm gonna make this smaller. And I'll probably change it later. Okay. That looks better. I could do some fencing. Nope, that's not nature. Objects? Yes, okay. Alright, cool. Oh, thank you! Yeah, feel free to just lurk. That is totally fine. Because I do the same thing. Yeah, I keep hearing of people getting kicked out because they're lurking or for some reason. It just seems weird to me. I don't know which I like. Well, I can always change it later. Oh, these are big. I can cut these down a little. Yes. Oh, we should see what's at the store. Nothing. Okay. I really just want to get all my equipment. Okay. I say... let's just finish today. Thank you. Yeah. Feel free to just hang out. I need to become better friends with Dudley, I think. We'll hang out tomorrow if we can. Oh, it's raining. Yes. Oh. Oh, I think this guy might be my favorite. Yes, I am. Okay. Yes. Yes, it would. I mean, we have no, like, we just have a store. We don't have an eating establishment at all anywhere. Welcome, merchants. Give me your gifts. Pebbles, nice. Oh my gosh, he has a monocle. That's awesome. Oh, that's so fun. Cabbage, yes. Busby's house. Do we have everything we need for that? Yes, we do. I'm gonna just put him here for now. I'll sleep well. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a good sleep. Yes. Wow, I bet that'll take a long time. No. Very nice. Yes, it does look much better. Oh, yes. Yes. We are getting all the tools, finally. Do you have a fishing rod? I'll compliment you. Aww. Nope. Okie wokie. Okie wokie. Oh. Oh, that's very sweet. Let's hang out. Oh, this is just my house. I like that the instructions are still in her house. What did he say? Oh. What should my title be? Friend? Hayer's fine. President. Queen. Let's just do Mayor. After I've deleted it. Oh my goodness. There we go. Oh, yes. There's only like 4 of us. Do we really need like laws yet? 5 of us? Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Alright, do I have the stuff? Yes, I do. I'm just gonna put this over here for now. Perfect. That looks really sad. Okay, I'm gonna put that back. Flooring. I don't like that it's uneven, but I don't have enough dirt. I'm out. I am out of dirt. Official office. Here we go. Oh. I like that. What's his name? Suddenly just bursts out of nowhere. Like, the conversation. Hello! 5? Oh wow. These are expensive. Plus 5 energy daily. That seems worth it. Maybe not yet, but eventually. I'll upgrade this. Let's see if there are any weeds around. Did I get them all? Oh, we have some fruit. Slime apple tree. Just this one, not the other one. Hello, welcome. How are you? Is that all the butterflies? Where are they? I finally have a net and they all disappeared. Right? I really love it. Hello, welcome. Thank you. It's been really good so far. Lots of people have said hi and it's making me very happy. I thought I saw a weed. Oh, good. I love that. I love the sound of the rain. It doesn't rain nearly enough where I live, and I wish it did, but maybe I just need to move to, like, Washington or Oregon. It's like, what's the name of the other state there? Well, my goal is to be relaxing, so if it makes me sleepy, that's good. Yeah, I'm in a similar weather as Colorado, so I definitely, whenever it rains, it's a big deal. Right? Yeah, I think it's super cute. Okay, now I'm just wandering around. With no purpose. Hello, welcome. How are you? Is there really only one? Yes, it is. I think I also haven't played a ton of Stardew, but it does seem like it has a very similar vibe and style to me. Oh, there's a tree. Okay. And you can date people and apparently marry people. I didn't know that until like 10 minutes ago. Let's see. Oh, right, because I can make more like planks in here. That'll take a lot of my energy. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. That means a lot. I know everybody's busy, and so I appreciate you saying hi. Let's just do all the rocks. Bonus, yes. Sure. Let's do that. Oh, I could probably use some more wood. I have a lot of wood. I know. I just want everyone to play it because I really enjoy it. I think it's really cute, really relaxing. I like the way that the time passes is by you doing stuff instead of actual time, because that kind of stresses me out. I'm out of weeds, no. I don't really have anything else I want to sell. Yeah, okay, well that'll be it for today. I highly recommend it. I think it's on the Steam. I'm playing, or on the Switch. They both start with this. I'm playing it on Steam. That's why I say that. Day 5. I'm feeling happy. Let's talk to all of our friends. Oh, okay. Thanks for telling me that. Oh. Twigs and rocks. Oh, the tavern. That's right. Oh, and I have mail. 5. Wow, okay. Level 5, yes. Thanks for 1 wooden plank. Oh, another wooden plank. Level 10 in merchanting. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. I'm probably right on top of them. You have to do it from the side. Oh, a meteorite. We can sell that because she said to sell the meteorites. Aww. Yes. Do I have a fishing rod? I do. I don't remember getting it. Let's fish. This one's kind of hiding. Oh no! We can do this one. Another minnow. What is that? Oh, is it a new flower? It must be. I'm gonna leave it alone. Oh no, I can't get back there. Let's move this tree over and build this out a little bit. dragon wasp. That's cool. Any bugs up here? Nope. Some slime apples. I should probably plant some more of those. Trees. Kind of like having them all in one spot. Will that make it impossible to get to that metal one if I do them every other? Probably. But that would look so nice. I'll just steal my Oh. Okay, I guess we're just planting one more. Gonna get that fish. Oh no, I did it the wrong way. Here's what we'll do. Let's make this smaller. Oops. So that I may pass through. Because I know I will do this again. I know myself. Let's put this up here somewhere. There we go. Oh, I was too fast. Alright, let's see. Another bug. A large feather. What kind of bug is that? Oh yeah, I should plant some. Plant some stuff. Wow, that is pretty incredible. Dune worm. Is that like from Dune? Also. Where should I put my farm? Put it over here with these rocks. If I hate it here, I can always put it somewhere else. Flooring, tilled soil. I think I can only plant 8 things right now. Oh. Nature. Oh, I can do 6. So we'll do 3 carrots. Oh, and more carrots because I can't do cabbages. Oops. There we go. Did I talk to him already? Okay, I will. But only if you will hang out with me. Yes, I do want you to fall behind me. Let's build the tavern up here. Let's see if I have the stuff for it. I do indeed. Tavern there. Oh, I think I'm still out of path. I need to go get some. I'll get some from over here. Oh no. back. Let's go in the tavern. Thank you. Yes. Right, right. What do we have? Today's hint, I don't have any slime apples or carrots. I just have cabbage. And I want to plant the cabbage, so I don't want to use the cabbage yet. So we are just gonna leave this how this is for now, because I don't have anything. Have I talked to Dalton yet? Or no, this is Dudley. Hold on. Yes. Oh, I did talk to him. We did talk about the carrot cake already. Let's go. Aww. That's really sweet. Yes, I did. We can do some more of that to use up my energy for the day. All right. Oh, that's the end of that one. Oh, another bug. Oh, I'm gonna stop doing that. I don't want to get rid of all my stone. Oh, that's it. We're done. If the store has anything. It does. I don't really have a lot of dewdrops. I'm just gonna not buy anything yet. But I will put some stuff over here to sell. Oh, there's no weeds. We can do a bug. A fish. I could do a dragon wasp. Why not? I'm sure I'll get another one. I don't want to sell my cabbage. Oh yes, I can sell the meteorite. Perfect. Large feather. I don't know if I'm gonna need that later. I'll just hold on to it. Well, I think that's it for the day. Oh, Sure. Oh, right. Yeah, I'll just hold off on these for now. Did I miss any fish? I don't think I did. I'm just going to go to bed. Yes. I guess I'll hang out with Busby again tomorrow because he's the lowest of everybody. Saturday. Got some mail. Had a ton today. Heroic merit. What does that do? Where is that? Oh, another thing I like about this game is I don't think you run out of space. You don't have to worry about inventory. So you can just keep everything, which is my tendency. And it makes playing games like Skyrim really hard. That's good. Thank you for telling me that. His eyes got so big. Yes. A rock. Ugh. Shoot. More weeds. Oh my goodness. I guess we're 1 for 3 today. Alright, we can get both of these, I know it. Oh no! Yes, okay, good. And more bugs. That's always good. Oh, come on. Sneaky little guy. Have I talked to everyone? No. What is it? Oh, yes. Hot air balloon platform, let's go. How big is it? Very big. Wow, it's only 1 plank and 1 on 1 brick. It seems kind of big for something that doesn't cost that much to make. Oh, oops. Well, I guess I need to make that smaller in order to make this smaller. Oh no, I'm stuck. Let's move this over here. Why not? Okay. go somewhere else. New area, new music. Yay! Hello. The toad. Does he say more? Whooped. What's this? Dark matter. A lily pad. Why would I buy a weed? That just doesn't make sense to me. So I gotta stay away from the... Oh my goodness! Hello! Abysmal pet! Thank you for that. I really like this area. I can't wait to show you guys the forest. I think it has my favorite music of the game so far. Oh, I don't know what's up with me in fishing today. Normally, I don't feel like I'm this bad. I'm gonna try and not use all my energy here so we can go to the forest too. Because I want to show it to you guys. Okay, let's go. I love the return home button. I'm not gonna use it just yet because I want to go to the endless forest. Aww. She's got like a witch's hat and everything. I feel like she's... I mean, I guess it doesn't matter what you're wearing, if you're good at magic or not. Huh, okay. Alright, you guys are gonna like these spiders, I think. They fly! I love the spiders! More weeds. You can never leave them behind. Oh no! I stuck there too long. I wanted the chest. That's okay. Now let's go process some of this stuff. Did we talk to him today? The desk. Okay, I guess we'll talk to Dalton and get the desk. We have a lot of it. Let's do the ore first. We didn't get very much. We did get some new stuff. Perfect brick. It is very dark now. Let's see if Dalton is in his house. Okay. Alright. We already upgraded this, right? Yes, we did. Okay, let's sell some weeds, yes. Some bugs. And a fish. Let's see if I can cook anything. Oh, that's not the timer. Hold on. Oh, that's not what I want. Let me look at what we have. I don't have anything that I can make. I guess I'll just get more ingredients later. It is time to sleep. Yes. Alright, tomorrow we'll hang out with Dudley. Some more mail. Yes, I will accept. Oh, ladybug! Aw. Thanks for another plank. That's good to know. Yes, we are. Let's compliment Dalton. Oh, I kind of wish I could see what the compliments were. Yes. Let's build everyone a desk. So a desk isn't an essential? Okay. I guess that makes sense. Oh, perfect. Need a bookshelf. Oh, I'm not gonna remember this. Ocean bed. Adventures, sure. Okay. Let's build you a desk. I'll just put them all in the same spot. Let's see what you have on yours. Also a bookshelf. Lots of shanty stuff. Is he into pirates? Maybe he really likes pirates. Do I build myself one? Might as well. Decorate my house. Oh, I do have a thing on there. Wow, what's the last one? Collect 5 slime apples. Okay, that shouldn't be too hard now that we have 5 slime apple trees. Or 4. Oh, and that means we can put in another one. Ta-da! Oh, it's that witch friend. Yes, live with us. That's okay, that's cool. Mm-hmm. not gonna say anything. That's really funny. Oh, I need fancy planks. Well, it's time to go exploring and get some of those from the forest. Oh. I don't think I've made anything yet, so how do you know? Nope, I still can't remember. I don't know what is up with me and fishing today. It is just not my day. Oh, so it did grow another flower. There's another one of the same kind. So I guess when it rains, the flowers duplicate. Am I a level? Can I see how? Here, let's try and put in a carrot. Oh. Hold on. How do I move these? Is it destroy? I don't really want to destroy the carrot. Sure. Oh, okay. It does give me the carrot back. That's good. Ah, I'm not a level 5 yet. Wait, we'll just put this back. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think I have to wait longer. There we go. Nice. Okay. Just have to wait. Have to be patient. Okay. Let's go to the forest so we can build Lilith's house. Oh. I'm just ready to go. Is this a hippo? What is this? A hippo with wings? Cool. Right. Let's go. So we need these purple trees. Oh, I should take that fruit. I can plant. Oh my gosh, I can't even pick it yet. Oh no. Someday I'll be able to do all the things. Someday. Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of fishing again. An old leaf. What? Okay. Oh my gosh, who is that? Robin the Trapper. A big dark tree. Why are these people giving me such scary looking stuff? Maybe I can make my place kind of spooky looking for Halloween. Oh, I thought it was gonna be another old leaf. Oh, where did it go? Is it behind here? Oh my gosh. Come on. There we go. Alright, we have some more of the purple magic wood. Alright, I'm gonna go back because we still need to put it through the cutter thing. We're gonna have enough? I actually don't know how much I need. I can't do it more. Right, it's 2 for each block. No! I don't have enough to build her a house. I guess I'll just have to build it tomorrow. I'm sorry, Lilith. You're just gonna have to hang out there. Oh, I feel bad. Oh, right. I need to keep building discs. Oh. Did I look up that disc? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. Did I build her a desk? I did not. Must be you are going to get a desk. Oh, no, I don't want to build them too. What do you want? Oh, nice. Also a bookshelf. We should see if there's a bookshelf at the store. No. Let's go to the town hall and see if anything has changed. I don't remember what days that changes. Okay. Plus 15 town decor. I haven't really been decorating yet. This one. This one seems nice, but it seems really expensive. It's just plus 5 dewdrops, so... I think that's it. Hello, thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I really like this game. I would recommend it if you like Stardew Valley and other games that look like this one. How are you? What was I doing? Oh, I was gonna... Oh, I can do more wood. That's another wood. I think that's good. Oh, that's not what I want. Yes, I would like to go to sleep. Thank you for coming, even though it's probably pretty late where you are. I feel like, because I'm in the mountain time zone, I'm way behind everyone, so it's only 8:30 where I am, so it's not that late for me. But I guess if you're on like the East Coast, it'd be 10:30, right? I don't know. I don't know where you are. I'm sorry I didn't make you a house. Oh, oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. Oh. Yes, I will make you a house. I'm gonna go do that right now. Who should I bring with me? Where is everyone? I know, I feel so bad. I just didn't have enough materials to make her house. But I will today. Let's hang out, Willow. I'm gonna compliment you too. I feel so bad. I'm going to get the stuff, Lilith. Watch me go. Cool. Need to go to the forest. I really love the dancing spiders. The flying dancing spiders. Oh. Gotta stay away from over there. Oh, come on. I think these yellow trees kind of look like they have faces on them. Like little happy faces. Oh, it is 10:30. Okay, I just saw that. Yeah, 10:30 is usually when I go. Ooh, I am staying away from you, sir. Yeah, I usually go to bed around 10:30, so I totally get you there. But I am gonna do a stream tomorrow morning, so hopefully that'll be. Oh, I don't like that. That'll be more reasonable for some. Is this a different kind of tree? Leafwood. Huh. It's like really pretty color. Always need more stone. Okay. I really want to get that. Okay, I'm just gonna run past this guy. Oh, no. Ooh! Okay. Any more? I don't think so. This is just a normal tree. Okay. Let us return home. Alright, let's see if I have enough, Lilith. I want to make your house. Yes, we should have enough, because I just need 8. Do I have that other stuff, though? I really hope so. Oh, I do. Good. Where should I put her house? I'm kind of just gonna put stuff in random places until we have more stuff, because I don't really know how I want it to look yet. Lilith, I made your house. You don't have to sleep on the grass. Yes, it is. Let's go look inside. I think her house is my favorite so far. The outside, anyway. am. I'm doing good. I'm about an hour and a half into my stream. Things have been going well. How are you doing? Nope. I don't remember. Oh, I forgot to sell stuff yesterday. Oops. Oh, more fruit. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. I'm really happy that it's Friday. Finally. This week seemed like it went on forever. So I'm happy it's the weekend. And I can stay up late and it's okay. Let's get this fish. It was fine time. Oh, there's too many fish. I don't have enough energy to catch them all, I don't think. Well, that one won't matter. Oh my gosh. There times the charm. Let's go. Yes. Okay, I gotta put stuff down here. Yep. Yep. It is great to be done with the week. Yeah. I feel like September went by really fast. And then October's gone by super slow. I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I just feel like, oh, I keep thinking his house is the tavern. I don't know. Which is, it's fine. I like October. I like Halloween and seeing everyone's Halloween decorations and stuff. Okay, I will sacrifice a cabbage for this recipe. Yes. Right? Yeah, it really does. September just sped on by. Like, I can't even think of what happened. I was just on Twitter a lot, I feel like. Oh, right. Okay. I decided I didn't want any of those. Yeah, I spend way too much time on Twitter, but it's okay, I get to talk to you guys. So, I don't mind. I don't know why I came back here. Oh, I wanted to check this. Yeah, and I also made an Instagram, too. I don't spend as much time on Instagram. It just doesn't... I don't like it as well. Oh my goodness. They really are. Oh, sacrifice your ingredient. Okay, I get what you're saying now. Okay, I think I'm going to go to bed. I didn't talk to anyone. Oh, I'd sacrifice a cabbage. Yes. Because I want to plant them. But am I high enough level now? Actually, it's not on here. Because I want to plant some cabbages. So I have at least some coming. Okay, the carrots are done. So we will grab those. I feel like the noise to... Okay, build mode. Destroy carrot. Oh. No! How do I see what level I am? Journal, maybe? Oh. Level 2. That's gonna take forever. Okay. Build mode. I'm just gonna put the carrot back. Yeah, I guess I probably won't sacrifice any more cabbages because I can't plant them for a while. That's kind of blue. It's kind of, I guess he's more green. He's really into personal hygiene. Yes. Yeah, I am kind of starting to sound like the cabbage man. I really just want to plant cabbages. Yes, a fancy plank. Level 15, yes. A Toluca coin. Cool. I love Avatar. I am a little nervous about the live action show that they're making. I think it's on Netflix. I just kind of wish they'd leave it alone. It's fine animated. In fact, I think it probably works better that way. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think the cast looks promising. Like, the kids are actually being played by kids, which makes me hopeful. But who knows? The show I am excited for is the Percy Jackson show, because I guess that's a totally different thing, but that's a... Right? The live action movie was so bad. I remember being so excited for it because the trailer looked really cool. That's right, they did. I totally forgotten about that. Maybe they just decided they didn't want to do it, or there were creative differences. I guess we'll see when it comes out if it's any good. I'm trying to think, has Netflix done any good live action adaptations? I feel like their animated shows are usually pretty good. Like, I really liked Castlevania, and Arcane was good. Yeah, me too. I just feel like it won't translate as well, the bending. It looks great in animation, but I don't think it'll look as good. That makes sense. Yeah, that's fair. Because I feel like they've done lots of, like, video game adaptations that are live action, and they've all been terrible. Oh, interesting. I wonder why they would do that. I haven't looked that closely at the casting. Maybe I should look at it again. I mean, it'll be better probably than the guy from Twilight. I don't know that actor's name, but he's super white. It was so boring because Sokka. Yeah, it's a pretty low bar, so I think anything will be better than that. But who knows? It could also be really terrible, which might also be fun to watch. But Avatar, I don't know. There's a fine line between terrible enough to be, like, silly. Yeah, I think you're right. That's a good way to go about it. I saw it when it was in theaters, so I had no idea that it was gonna be so bad. Right, that's true. Since our expectations are a little bit higher this time. But mine were pretty high on the original movie, I remember. So, we'll see. Yeah, me too. I actually really like the soundtrack from it, but everything else is just terrible. Oh. I don't really know that much about Dragon Ball, so I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why lately studios have been thinking that live action is the way to go. Like with all the Disney remakes. I mean, it makes them a lot of money, but animation is great too. Like, you don't have to remake it to make it better. It was already good. That's my hot take for the day. That's not really a hot take, actually. Yeah, I don't get it. I am excited for The Little Mermaid. I don't know why. I don't think it'll be any better than any of the others, but yeah. I think the last one I saw was Beating the Beast, and then I was kind of like... Or no, I saw Aladdin. Aladdin was just okay. Gotta figure out where to put this town square. Yeah, the live action Disney movies make them a ton of money. Like, the last few have made over $1 billion all across the world, not just here in the US, but yeah, it's so funny. They're like, it's more realistic. I don't know if you guys... Yeah, I agree. Like Lion King. Why did they do it that way? It's still animated. Like, it's not even... It's just a different animation style. Tarzan, you know what I would love if they did was Atlantis. I think Atlantis would be such a fun live action movie. But since it didn't do well originally, I don't think they'll do it. But who knows? They may run out of stuff to do and be like, let's do it. Wouldn't that be fun? Like, it already kind of feels like a big adventure movie. So, I just feel like it would be perfect. That, or I think Tarzan would be good too. Yeah, aren't they doing Hercules? I think they're doing Hercules. I can't keep track of what's real and what's not for those. They might be. Hold on. Let me Google it. Where's my phone? I might be making this up. I'm not sure. It does have a director. Who? The Russo brothers. The guys who did, like, Endgame and Winter Soldier. It's an interesting choice. Disney seems to really like them now. Oh my gosh, how would they do that? Like, with normal people? I do love, the Goofy movies. Both of them. I haven't seen them in ages, though. I don't remember if they're still good. There's the, like, the road trip one. Oh my gosh, no. Oh, man. I don't think anyone would want that. That would be hilarious, though. They just decide to... I'm trying to picture it. It sounds terrifying. Like, make it a horror movie or something. Did you guys hear they're making a Haunted Mansion movie? I have no idea what that's gonna be like. I hope it's good, because I really like the Haunted Mansion. And they already made one. Didn't they make one? With, like, Eddie Murphy and, like, the early 2000s. Back when they were trying to do Pirates of the Caribbean again. Figure out what made that work. Oh, oops. Yeah, that just sounds scary. I keep thinking about a live-action Goofy. I really hope they never do that. I don't think they would. Yeah, I don't think they would. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. I guess I could just put it over here. Do I have the stuff? I do. Let's just put it there for now. I kind of want it in the middle. They are doing Peter Pan. I'm also pretty sure. Let me check. I don't know why I know these things, because I don't even want to watch them. Peter Pan and Wendy was what it's called. It's coming out next year. It's in post-production, so it's pretty far along. The poster looks really cool. But that's totally fair. I do that a lot. Where you'll go back and be like, oh, no, this would never be made today. Like, even movies from, like, 5 or 6 years ago sometimes, I'm like, yeah, that joke would not fly. Or that character. It's just not appropriate anymore. Or not that it was ever, but we're more aware. Okay, I think I'm gonna move everything. I'm just gonna flatten a lot of stuff and then build around things. Oh, we were talking about Peter Pan. Or no. What were we talking about? Hold on. That may have been when we were talking about Avatar. I can't remember. Oh, right. Yes, that's what it was. Yeah, because we've been talking about Disney's live action movies. And like what else they would try to do. I really hope they never do that. They may run out and have to... Didn't they do a Lady and the Tramp one? I don't think anyone I know has seen that movie. Yeah, there's a lot of that in old Disney stuff. Like, there's some blackface sometimes, and it's just yucky. Yeah. Yeah, a lot has changed in the last little while, which is good. Have you guys been watching anything fun? Any shows? I started Our Flag Means Death a couple days ago. I've been liking that. I know a lot of people have been recommending it, and I just haven't had HBO Max, so now that I do, I can watch it. It's really fun. If you like Taika Waititi's sense of humor, I would recommend it. It's very, like, New Zealand-y. Oh yeah, and Rings of Power, of course. Yes, I've also been watching that. I do too. One of my favorite movies in the whole world is Hunt for the Wilder People. It makes me laugh so hard. Yeah, it's on Netflix. I've watched the first 3 or 4 episodes. I usually watch with subtitles, and the subtitles were super messed up, so we stopped watching it because I'd like to watch it with subtitles. So hopefully they've fixed them now. Yeah, we may end up doing that. And Andor is really good. I haven't seen the newest episode yet, but I have seen the first 4. I like that it doesn't really feel like the other shows. Not that I don't like the other ones, but it is nice to have something different. Yeah, that's totally fair. I like to have subtitles for everything. Yeah, I really like it. And it's gorgeous. Like, whoever the director of photography was for that needs a raise or something. Yes, I watched it last night. It's not quite as bombastic as the last one. I don't know how you would top that. Like, it's a lot more sad. So just be prepared for that. And we only have one more episode left of Rings of Power, which makes me a little sad. Yeah, just be ready. It's a lot more serious, which I guess makes sense based on how the last episode ended. Yeah, so there's 8. There's 8 episodes. So we're close to the end. And they've just started shooting season 2. You've got to watch it. It's so good. You'll have a nice advantage because you can just watch the next episode, because a lot of them end on cliffhangers, which is, you know, normal for a TV show, but kind of annoying still. But you can just watch the next one. I think I want to put this in the middle. So maybe just wait till next week, and then you don't have to wait at all. I've done that before with shows that are coming out. I'm like, I'll just wait. Wait until they're all out, and then I can just watch them at my own pace, and I don't have to wait if I don't want to. Yeah. I try not to, but sometimes it's hard. I'm so glad you like it. I love Lord of the Rings. I am a huge, huge fan. Yeah, I do the same thing. I guess it depends. I have a pretty short attention span sometimes. What are some of your favorite shows you guys have binged? Because I think some shows I just can't binge, but some are definitely like, yes, I just want to watch the whole thing right now. I think the last one I binged was, oh yeah, definitely. Well, it helps too that they plan it like that. You know, they know that it's going to be on a streaming platform, and so that's the way they like build the episodes, or write the episodes, I guess. Yeah, I haven't seen the newest season actually, but the last 3 I feel like I watched all pretty close together. Oh, I need to move my mailbox. Oh, I've been wondering if I would like The Boys or not. It seems a little violent, and I don't know if I would like it, but maybe. I've heard it's really good. I have not seen very much anime, so I'd be curious what animes you guys like, because I would trust your judgment. Full Metal Alchemist. That's all I know about Full Metal Alchemist, is that TikTok audio. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. The only anime I've seen a full season of is One Punch Man, so I'm not sure where that would fit in here. Probably something dumb. Oh, I've seen a lot of Cowboy Bebop. I need to finish that. I really liked it, what I saw of it. Oh, nice. I haven't heard of... How do you say that? Kami-sama Kiss? But I have heard of Attack on Titan. That looks a little intense. I don't know if I want to do it this way. Oh, I haven't heard of that. Mob Psycho. What's that one about? I've never heard of that. Gonna be a ton of trees by the city hall. Okay, I'm just gonna move this by this flower. I'm gonna look at what is Mob Psycho. Interesting. I feel like I would like that. I'll have to get my brother's Crunchyroll account and log in. What can I say? Oh, and a con artist. Yeah, I was like, these seem... I guess it has a really distinct storyline. Yeah, maybe I need to check that out. I'll have to ask my brother for his Crunchyroll account because it looks like it's not anywhere else. Maybe it is, I don't know. Yeah, because I really liked One Punch Man, so if it's the same writer, I'd probably like... what's it called again? Mob Psycho. How many seasons is it? Is it just one? I guess it's probably more than that. Anime, there's a lot of seasons usually, but maybe not. Oh. So not too many. I just hear stuff like, what's the pirate one? The one that's got like tons and tons of seasons. One Piece, thank you. It's like, I know it has pirates in it. My brother just caught up on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how you have the time to watch that many episodes. I can barely do like more than 1 or 2 seasons of a show, and then I get bored. Or I guess I'd just lose interest. Yeah, it's a long time commitment. Only 500? How many does it have? Oh my gosh. I mean, that makes sense. And then One Piece took over. Yeah. It has more than One Piece? Wow. That is very impressive. Oh, that's the worst. Like, if it's fine if there's like actual stuff happening, but when they just add a lot of filler, I just really don't like that. Dang. That's awesome. Wouldn't you love to find something like that where it's like super popular and you also love it? I don't know. That's the dream right there. Where people like what you're making and you like doing it. I would love to find something like that, you know, and just get to do that for my job. That'd be awesome. And it seems really popular. I went to a con a couple weeks ago, and like so many of the cosplays were One Piece themed. And probably more than I thought there were, because I've never watched it, but I recognized some of the characters. Lots of big pirate people. Oops. Where's that little thing of water? I'm just gonna have to use this house. Yes, I love Ghibli. I grew up watching like My Neighbor Totoro and Castle in the Sky a ton, and Kiki's Delivery Service are probably the biggest three that we watched growing up. Yeah, I really love them. And I love Howl's Moving Castle too. I love Howl's Moving Castle. It is just such a comfort movie, I feel like. And the book is good too. The book is different. The ending is very, very different from the movie, but most of the rest of it is similar. I haven't read it in a long time though, so I could be misremembering. Oh wait, I wanted to do more of a yard. Oh, I have seen your name. I did really like that. I haven't seen the other ones. Weathering with You and Silent Voice. Yeah, I really liked your name. I watched that a couple years ago. That was really fun. What are those about? Weathering with You and Silent Voice. watch them. With you. Oh, that's cool. It's on HBO Max. I do have HBO Max for the next little while. So that's awesome. I'll add it to my watch list on Letterboxd, because if I don't, I won't remember. Weathering with you. Oh, that's really recent. 2019. Aw, cute. I love romances. I'm always down for a good romance. Oh, wow. That sounds like a lot. Like, really intense. 5, 6, 7. So this is the middle. Yeah. That sounds cool. What is it called? Silent Voice is the other one. I'm gonna add it before I forget. Oh, that's also recent, 2020. Maybe this is something else. Hold on. Yes, that's a different movie. Okay, I was like, that sounds really intense. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I've been wanting to see Belle. Have you guys seen Belle? That's also on HBO Max. I've been wanting to see it. Edge Runners. You're fine. And didn't it just come out not that long ago? I feel like it didn't come out that long ago. I did see some cosplays of it at the con of Belle, which I thought was fun. Yeah, I've heard it's beautiful. So I would like to see it. Yeah, I think it's on HBO Max in the US, at least. So if you have that, it's on there. But I bet you could rent it too. Violet Evergarden. Y'all are gonna have me watching anime all weekend. Oh, I think I have heard of this. It's on Netflix, it looks like. Oh, that's gorgeous. Lots of detail. That's beautiful. I'm gonna take a screenshot because I don't have a way to keep track of TV shows that I want to watch. Summer Wars. Okay. Ooh, this looks fun. One of my... Oh, I already have it on my watch list. That's hilarious. That's awesome. Well, I bet it's good if you cried during it. I mean, I guess sometimes stuff can make you cry and it's not any good. But I'll keep that in mind. But it is not, it is a crying type show. Is it all sad, or is it parts of it not as sad? I need to watch more anime. Because I have not seen very much. Okay, I'm liking the look of this a little bit more now. There's still a lot to do though. Thinking I'll put another row of houses here. I'll move Lilith's in front of mine and maybe do like this. I want to see the path. Oh no, I want to do... What games have you guys been playing? I've been mostly playing this. So, and I'm still playing it, I guess. I am! Welcome! Thank you for saying hi! How are you doing? Okay. See you in a minute. Oh, no, I still want to be in build mode. Good, I'm so glad to hear it. Welcome. I'm just redoing my courtyard area because we've been having a lot of conversations about anime, and so I haven't been able to... Anyway, it's been really fun. Oh yeah, I feel that. Sometimes it's hard to know what to play, and you're playing just a bunch of different things. Who else can I move over here? Yeah, I've been playing this. Oh, Animal Crossing. I love Animal Crossing. I need to finish my Halloween decorations. Hello! Amori. I don't think I know that one. Oh no! That's the worst. Little Nightmares. I don't think I know that one. I haven't tried it. I feel like it would be very up my alley. Disney Dreamlight. But I'm kind of waiting for it to be free. So, yeah. This is a good one if you haven't tried it yet. It's very chill. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I should probably try more stuff like platformers and fighting games. So if you have any good suggestions for beginner ones, let me know, because I wouldn't know where to start. I know. My dream would just be to either be playing games or watching my friends play games. But unfortunately, or like watching movies or stuff. Oh yeah, I've played a little bit of A Hat in Time and it's very cute. Yeah, I wish I was just home, but unfortunately I have a full-time job. And that takes up most of my days. Do you have a cat? Oh yeah. I don't work remote. I wish I did. But yeah, I think it might be even harder if I worked at home, because I'd be like, I want to play. Oh, what's her name? I love cats. Kids, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, that's so cute. That's a really cute name. Fluffy long-haired cat. That's so fun. I have a friend who fosters animals, and so I get to visit her and pet the like kittens and stuff that she fosters. It's the best because I can't have pets where I live, so it's close, but it's not the same. It would be so nice, but I'm afraid I would get really lonely. Because I really like talking to my... I work in a really small office, but I really enjoy talking to everyone. There's... How many of us are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us? So I work with my husband. So we and I go to work together, which is really fun. But yeah, I don't know if I could handle not leaving the house. Yeah, it is really nice. We just get to drive in the same car and go to work together. We do totally different things, but oh yeah, that is not the same at all. Because I feel like, at least for me, there's no like in between times. You're either talking about work or not in the Zoom call or whatever you're doing. In a mall, that's really cool. Do you work in one of the stores? Yeah, I don't leave as often either, so it's nice to have work so I actually leave the house. Because otherwise I would never. On the weekends I hardly ever leave. A DVD store? Those still exist? Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I just feel like everyone streamed. I bet. Are you guys busy? I feel like that could either mean that you're really busy or not busy at all, if you're the only one. One, two, three. Okay. What's in the way? Oh, a tree. Yeah, that's true. I've been wanting to get more into physical media, especially after all the crazy stuff that's been happening with HBO Max, just like getting rid of stuff on streaming. But yeah, work in the office. Oh yeah. Yeah, I have some friends where they have like a day in the office and then they work remote the rest of the week. I would love that. Because that way you'd still have a little bit of a social life, but you could be in your pajamas most of the time. Unless you're on a Zoom call, I guess, or however you connect with your people. Yeah, I agree. I wish I could do remote work. I probably could for my job, but they don't want us to. Oh, cool. Yeah, my dad does web development, and I've worked for him a little bit. But he works from home, too. And he really seems to like it. And he's been working from home for years and years and years. Yeah, I work on the computer all the time, too. Yeah, it's fun. I think for him, I don't know. He's been doing it for a long time. He's been there since the beginning. Back when no one really knew how to use websites and stuff. Yeah, I work on the computer all day too. And sometimes my eyes get red from looking at screens too much and like not blinking. I'm trying to do better. Oh, we could do a grove here. That might be fun. Yeah, that happened yesterday. My eye was super bloodshot. I was like, oh, that's gonna look really terrible on the stream. I don't know if you can even see. I might still be. What do I look like? I can't tell. I can't see myself, which is a good thing. So do you live far away from your friends now? That stinks. Wait, I wanted to do this up here. Do you live in the mountains? I live close to some mountains, but not in the mountains. is a-okay. I don't either. Oh, nice. It's hard to make friends as an adult, I feel like. I graduated from college during the pandemic, and I haven't really met very many new people. Yeah, definitely. I could turn them down if you want. That's really funny. Just really aggressive birds. Okay, I'll leave it how it is. I wasn't sure how loud to make everything, because on my headphones it sounds fine, but I don't know how it sounds for you guys. I'll keep the birds. I think we'll have more people move in and I can put them down here. Oops. Wait, really? Oh, okay. I was like, I can hear myself talking through the headphones and it sounds okay. It's like, oh no. Y'all are too much. Okay. I think I want this further down. I was gonna say, my husband's been lurking, I'm pretty sure, and he would have said something about the audio if it didn't sound good. If I was too quiet. This is his microphone. He's been very nice in letting me use it. A little bit. Everyone say hello. One of these days I'll get my husband on here and you can all say hi. Oh. He's saying hello. You can come say hi if you want. He's been playing on his Steam Deck in the other room. I don't know if he's gonna come in. I don't think they've posted any pictures with him yet, so none of you know what he looks like. Come on! He's busy. Are you playing your vampire game? What's it called? Vampire something? He can't really pause it. So he's in the middle of a game. But I'll get him in here. He's just busy. Vampire the Masquerade? Is that what it is? No? Vampire Survivors is what it's called. It looks crazy. There's a lot happening. Oh yeah, there you go. I have a hard time processing what's going on because there's always so much on the screen at any one time. I don't know if you guys have played it or know what it is. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I've been wondering if I should do some kind of Halloween-y games, but anything horror related I'm too afraid of. So I'll have to find something that's like not very scary. Like, I've been trying to watch more Halloween-y movies, but I'm only watching horror movies from like the 1940s and 1950s because I can't handle anything new. I did watch a really good one today called The Cat People. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know because I don't play that kind of game normally. Outlast. Let's see what that is. I don't know what that is. Oh, it looks spooky. It might be too scary for me. Hell, it's an experiment you can't survive and outlast. Oh boy. Yeah, I was gonna say, this looks terrifying. But it sounds like people like it. In order to survive, the player must either run or hide from enemies. Combat is not possible. Oh my gosh. Dead Space. Ooh, is it a sci-fi game? A sci-fi spooky game? You would hate, I would hate Dead Space. He doesn't like Dead Space. I think these games are too scary for me. I mean, that makes sense. It looks kind of spooky. Little Nightmares. Oh, I've seen this one. It's a puzzle game, right? I think I could handle this. Maybe. Dead Rising. That looks fun. I played the third Saints Row for the first time a couple months ago, and they have a whole vampire part. That was hilarious. That was a funny game because it feels like it's like 2012 pop culture all in a game. They tried to fit in zombies and what were the other things that I was like, man, you wouldn't see this in a game now. I can't remember. I'm sure I'll find something. This is looking so much better. Are there like good fall games that like take place in the fall? Maybe that would be a good one to play. And that way it wouldn't be scary, maybe. Like, I would love to play the game equivalent of, what's it called? Over the Garden Wall, if that exists. That's totally fair. Where's the calendar go? Probably by the main center. Yeah, there has to be, because I know there are other people like me out there that exist that love Halloween, but hate being scared. I know I'm not the only one. I can't be. I'll just put it there. I like that there. I'm gonna elevate. Night in the Woods. Oh, you have that? Can you hear my husband at all? He's in a totally different room. Oh, this looks fun. I like that style. Maybe I will play this. Yeah, the animation style is really beautiful. And do you play as a cat? It looks like you play as an animal. Maybe I'll give that a try. I should move the farm. I'll do that later. That's totally fine. I'll probably do some research tomorrow, cause I would like to play something more appropriate for the season. Not that Littlewood is bad. Maybe it'll be better once I actually get to fall. Got 2 seasons to go. I have not yet. I'm on my computer now, and this is my first stream, so it's the only thing I've ever streamed on. So I'd like to, because I'd love to stream Animal Crossing. That's the game I probably play the most of any game. But yeah, if I could figure it out, I totally would stream on my Switch. Because I play a lot of Animal Crossing, and it would be nice to stream at the same time, because I spent a lot of time on there. Alright, I think I'm done moving stuff around for now. Oh my goodness, it's so late. Have a good night. Thank you so much for hanging out. It has been so fun. Have a good sleep. Yes. Yes. Definitely. That's totally fair. I'm probably not as late as you guys. It's almost 10 o'clock here, so it's not as late. Thank you so much. Thank you both for coming to hang out and chatting with me. It has been so much fun. I really appreciate you guys. I think I'm gonna finish this day and then be done for this evening. Because I'm also getting tired. So my bedtime's like 10:30 usually. Let's go in a hot air balloon. Let's see. Do I have anything I still need to build that I need to collect for? No. Okay. Let's just go explore the dust cavern. Why not? Oh, shoot. I just have not been having any luck fishing today. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and thank you for chatting with me. It has made this first game way more fun. Have a good rest of your evening or morning. I don't know what time it is where you are. Oh, I should sell some stuff. Yeah, we had that for a long time, Lilith. Alright, I think that's gonna be it for today. Here, let's turn the game sound off. Thank you for hanging out, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow morning, my time, at Mountain Time at 10 o'clock. And I'll be playing more Littlewood, so that'll be fun. I hope you guys have a good night, good morning, wherever you are. Bye. Oh, how do I stop this?